Bonjour, je m'appelle Diane Demers. My name is Diane Demers, and my lovely granddaughter, Skylar Demers, is in your classroom. She asked me to speak a little bit about our family and our heritage. Our ancestors actually came down from Canada, from the French-speaking section of Quebec. Back then, back before the 1900s, our families had these large farms, but there was a huge famine, and because of the famine, they had to find some type of work to sustain their families. So they ended up finding out about this town, Manchester in New Hampshire in the States, which was a large mill town, and it had all types of factories and manufactured linens and cotton and shoes and the like. So they immigrated to Manchester and sought jobs. Manchester was a city at the time of about 50,000 people, and the city itself was divided by the east side and the west side. The French people all immigrated on the west side. The reasons being they had a lot of lodging there that could accommodate their large families, and also because it was close to the mills where they could actually walk to work. I know my grandparents and my great-grandparents worked in the mills, and at the time they had their children working side by side with them, and there were no laws. There were no laws governing the time frame that they can work, the age that they can work. But of course, through the years, that changed. The laws became more specific. You had to be a certain age, and nowadays you have to be a certain age, good standing, and you can only work so many hours a week. So back then, the young children actually worked in the mills as well. So our families were very much involved in the Catholic Church, because I would say the great majority of Canadians were French. The French Canadians were Catholic descent. And Catholicism played a huge role. And the church, the parishes, would have schools where they would teach courses half day in French and half day in English. I actually attended one of those schools, as did my husband. So we would take courses half day in French. Our parents were very concerned about us learning English, but then again, maintaining our French heritage and our culture. And as a matter of fact, I can tell you, we spoke French in our home until I was practically 5 years old. When I started school, I had to learn English when I went to school. On the west side of Manchester, where you would see all the French people, you could hear French all the time in restaurants and such. In fact, there's still a restaurant there. If you go there today, you can hear them still speaking in French. So anyway, our families were, a lot of our family members worked in the mills, and they also wanted a better way. They worked there until they could get more education, to get better jobs. I know for myself, I actually did work there after high school for a few hours, and also throughout college. It was a great way for me to save for college expenses. Anyway, the French people, very proud people, very willing and wanting to learn the English language, wanted the American way, and really not afraid to work for the American dream. And I know when we were first in Manchester, we were ridiculed. A lot of people would discriminate against us because the English wasn't as easy to, we didn't speak English with a lot of ease. But in the end, I found that it was quite a gift to have that second language. And I actually majored in it in college. I majored in French and taught it for 9 years. And it's like I used to tell my students, if you can speak 2 languages, you're worth 2 people. So anyway, all I can say is I'm very proud to be a Canadian American, and I hope someday you get to visit Canada. It's a beautiful country. So, au revoir et à tout à l'heure. Merci.